it is Steph. Nice to see you, darling. All right, welcome everybody. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sophie Musumeci, CEO and founder of Real Entrepreneur Women. We've got Davina Barrow-Jones from Mumpreneur Lawyer joining us today. Hi, Davina.
Hi.
We were just laughing because, you know, Davina and I run most of our business online, and which is really great, except for this morning when you wake up and the NBN is down. So I've been hotspotting off of my phone, and then of course my phone goes flat, so I'm trying to plug it in and charge. Calling Davina and her kid, pull up my pants. Because I've got a little puppy on my knee, and it's all just, you know, it's all happening at once. So I'm so grateful that NBN literally just came back on, and Facebook Live has allowed us to connect with Zoom, so we're able to come live to you. And I'm extremely grateful for Davina. So today's session is really all about helping you to look at what are the legal checks for your business so that you can be more protected. So Davina is my personal business lawyer. She has helped a lot of my Wealthy Woman Mastermind students, and she's also a member in our Real Entrepreneur Mums community. But that's a tag, isn't it? It's kind of growing every time we talk. So today's really about how do you protect your business during COVID-19 and beyond. And Davina, I'm going to hand over to you to take us through these 19 checks. And then if anyone has any questions, you can put them into the chat in Facebook right now. I'm on live there. Or if you're on with us in Zoom, you can put them into the chat here as well. And Davina and I, mainly Davina because she's the lawyer here, will answer your questions. Okay, so we'll stay on at the end and answer any questions that you have regarding this too. So Davina, I'm going to hand over to you. Thank you so much for your time. I know when I sent the email out last night that you were offering this session from people. So I think it's something they really want to hear from you. So thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm presenting at such a time, but I think these checks are really necessary for us all to go through, make sure that we've got, we're on the front foot and trying to protect our business from the impacts that are inevitably going to happen over the next few months. So I'm going to share my screen with you and go through each of the checks within our checklist and just expand on them a little bit more so you can understand what exactly each of them is all about. So just sharing now. Okay, getting there. So it's entitled 19 legal checks for small business survival during COVID-19. Of course, there are many other legal checks we may want to do, but these are possibly the most important that I've sort of isolated. And if you can get through these ones, you really stand a far better chance.
One of the things, Davina, we were talking about is the fact that things are changing at a rapid rate.
Yes.
Sometimes on a daily rate. So, you know, Davina is bringing you information as she has it, but this may change in the future. So if you need to reach out to Davina or reach out to your own lawyer to make sure you're getting up-to-date information if anything does change from here. So thank you.
Yeah. So I guess part of my background is that I really have personally seen the courts inundated with disputes and business owners being encouraged to resolve disputes on their own, even at the best of times. So unfortunately, there's going to be many small business disputes during and after COVID-19. But if you can be proactive and get on top of things now before things go wrong, you start minimising risk, help your business survive, lessen the likelihood of disputes, and hopefully your business will thrive into the future. So we don't know if it's going to last a few months or years, but it'll really help you minimise the likelihood of a dispute and lessen the likelihood of a fine for non-compliance, because that still could arise. So these questions aren't the checklist, it isn't in any particular order of importance, because every business is different and you'll all have different pressing needs and will be affected by COVID-19 differently. So don't think that number 1 is more important than number 19. Okay, so here we go. So your first check is, what are your obligations under contracts with your suppliers, and can you continue to perform them? So you might have...
Davina, can I just ask, I think you were sharing your screen, but we can't see anything yet.
Oh no.
That's okay.
That's not going to help.
You might have 2 screens.
I do. Can you see anything at all?
Just you.
Just me.
Worst case, don't worry, I'm going to grab them. I can share my screen. I'll share my screen and we'll go from there.
Awesome, thank you.
That's okay. Steph, can you see that now?
I can see that.
Perfect. All right, let's go.
Awesome. Okay. So, so the first one, what are your obligations under contracts with suppliers, and can you continue to perform them? So that basically means, like, do you have any requirements for minimum orders, and can you keep complying with that? So if you can, how long do you think you can comply with that? And if you need to change things, you need to contact your suppliers now, and just get communicating with them. If you need to make changes and you can't afford or don't have time to see a lawyer, just get any changes in writing. Then you want to look into what the supplier's obligations are to you. So can they continue to supply to you, and if so, for how long? Or is your supply going to be interrupted? Maybe it's already been interrupted. So do you have other sources? So again, if you get communicating with them now, then hopefully you already are, but start communicating so that you can just get things going. Then you want to look at your obligations under contracts with customers and clients. So can you continue to deliver your products and services? And if you can, for how long? If you can't deliver, or you need to change your products or services somewhat, you need to start acting now. I'm sure that there are many ways that we can pivot. So I've seen many people doing online classes already, or they're limiting their stock, but they're notifying their clients and customers so that people know about the changes. Just make sure you're communicating consistently with your clients and customers, so they know you're alive and well and that you're still serving them.
Yeah, that's really important, because some people think that businesses are closed and you're not. So being really clear that we are still open, we're here to serve you, is really important.
Absolutely. And then you need to really check out your obligations in relation to refunds and cancellations. So I know the ACCC has been inundated with questions about them, of course, and they're consistently updating their information. You need to be kind to your customers, but also be wary, because giving refunds when you don't have to might not help with the survival of your business. And if something's cancelled because of government restrictions, it actually impacts rights under the Australian consumer law. So you need to be aware of when you should and when you don't need to give refunds. The next one's in relation to just your contracts generally. So all your contracts should have limitations of liability. So where you can't perform obligations, you don't want to find that you're liable for a huge amount. If they don't, you really need to get them reviewed as soon as you possibly can. And many contracts really won't adequately deal with the COVID-19 situation at all. I don't imagine many will have envisaged this scenario. And even if you do have what's called a force majeure clause, it may not apply in these circumstances. So it may only apply to, say, earthquakes or floods or terrorism, that a pandemic wasn't actually included. So before you sign off on any new contracts, or even if you have the opportunity to get your current contracts varied, then you want to make sure you have appropriate clauses dealing with the situation. The next one's about privacy. So I can see it happening, but unfortunately it's really overlooked at a time like this. So it's less priority on a lot of people's lists. But if you're in the health industry or collecting information on people's health, it's still essential that you comply with the Australian privacy principles. So most of you will have a privacy policy in place. If you don't, make sure you do. Next question is in relation to independent contractors. So by now you should have rearranged your levels. That shouldn't be too hard to do. You just make sure that you have what you need and you don't have what you don't need. Unfortunately for them, you know, they're more easily, you can more easily avoid long-term commitment with them. Okay, so next is checking your insurances. So have you checked them to see whether you're covered? So some of you may even have business interruption insurance, which actually covers COVID-19. So that's pretty awesome. But you need to make sure, and you can contact your insurance company, but if you think you're covered and they think you're not, it might be wise to seek some legal advice there, particularly if you've been paying premiums for a long time and then suddenly you find out that you're not actually covered. And the last thing, number 10, is just keeping abreast of any offers. So Sophie's really good at sharing with us the government sort of subsidy and the cash flow offers that have been made in terms of government subsidies, payroll tax, and the second round of small business support that came in just yesterday. There's other things like the Facebook advertising grants for small business that may come through soon. So just make sure you're on any mailing list for those so that you can take advantage of all those opportunities that you really need more than ever right now. So they're the first 10. They're by no means the 10 most important. They're just the 10 that apply to pretty much any business. The next set are for those who actually have loans or leases. There's a few more slides. Have you got them?
Yeah, I'm just going to check to see if we have any comments, any questions.
Okay.
So I'll just go back now. I should have put it on a different screen. Give me one sec.
Okay.
There we go. We're good. You see?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So if you have loans or leases or employees, or if you're in the health industry, all the following checks will apply to you, and you should definitely make sure that you're looking into these other issues. So number 11 is if you've got loans, can you actually continue to make the repayments? So you may be able to make them now, but you can't sort of foresee that you can make them in, say, a month's time or 2 months' time. So if you're not sure, you want to start negotiating right now, if you haven't already, and get all your changes in writing. So the sooner you ask them, the better chance you have of being considered. And this is so important because the bank can call in security, and that, you know, often spells the end of business. So get talking to them if you haven't already. Same goes for your landlord. If you rent premises, can you continue to make the repayments? If not, you need to negotiate, and you need to document any changes in writing. So you might have an office for, you know, office space, or you might have a warehouse, and you really need to ask for an abatement, a rent abatement, or a rent reduction, because they can evict you. So the sooner you get talking to them, the better. Number 13 is just if you really can't make your repayments and there's no sort of compromise with the landlord or the banks or financier, you really may need to actually terminate. So get legal advice so that you don't end up in a worse position. Number 14 is about employees. So, of course, this is where a lot of the concern is. You really need to be protecting your workers from COVID-19 because you still have an obligation to keep a healthy workplace. You need to ensure you can do so, and that involves like encouraging people to follow the World Health Organization guidelines, particularly on infection control, like so cleaning hands, covering mouth, all the common sense things that we all know, but we need to stress right now. You also need to ensure that employees notify you. So they need to have a positive obligation to notify you of potential contraction and that they seek medical attention urgently. And then they need to stay away. So you can require them to provide you with medical certificates and medical clearances, but you, of course, need to have practical arrangements in place too. So get savvy with tech if you're not already. And yeah, so number 15 is obvious. Are you restricting your employees' business travel, not just internationally, but domestically now? And if you really need to direct them to travel, is it actually reasonable, or are you exposing them to an unreasonable risk? I know that my partner's already been directed not to go into any hospitals because he's in medical, and they've decided that he's not essential. So those visits, that travel has been cancelled. So where there are any alternatives to make the trip, you really should reconsider them. So number 16 is to double check your work from home policies. So if you haven't, it's a good idea to get a policy in place so your employees know where they stand and what to do during COVID-19. Many of you might be sort of you know, making new policies up as you go on a day-to-day basis. You know, if you can sort of start consolidating things, that's a great idea. Of course, the policy needs to address infection control measures, diagnosis, exposure, self-isolation, travel, and the continuation of your business operations. So you can always expect them to come to work unless these things apply. So they're in a period of authorised leave, so they're on personal leave, annual leave, or they're not attending because of government mandated self-isolation, or they're not attending under instruction by you, or there's a safety reason why they shouldn't be at work. The next check is number 17 in relation to standing down employees. So if the government orders you to shut down, your employees can't reasonably work elsewhere, you may be able to stand them down without pay. But it's a really complex area. It needs to be a last resort, and you need to be really careful and seek legal advice because you don't want to end up in the worst position of having a whole load of unfair dismissal claims or claims for not paying wages. So it really means looking at awards, agreements, contracts of employment, establishing if the virus is the real reason for the stoppage, whether it's a downturn or are there opportunities for the employee to be useful elsewhere. If they're on a period of leave, they can't be taken to be stood down. and you're, as the employer, you're going to have the obligation to prove you don't need to pay them wages. So standing down employees is really a last resort, and you really should be seeking legal advice before you do so, because it is such a grey area and dependent on the business. Number 18 is, if you're providing legal health advice on COVID-19, do you have your adequate disclaimers in place? So you really need to have disclaimers. It's uncharted territory, and you don't want to find people relying on your health advice. Come in, darling, come in, and making a claim against you because of it. And 19, are you complying with your privacy obligations in terms of collecting and disclosing personal and health information? So, yeah, any questions, fire away, and hopefully I can help as best I can. I also have a little one who's just coming in the room.
I'm surprised mine haven't come in the room. Ladies, I'm just going to have a look in Facebook as well. Any questions? Now's your chance. Steph, let's have a look from you. Just opening up the chat box. Just going to stop share. But this is reality right now, yes? So what's his name, Davina?
Lucas, this is Lucas.
Hey, Lucas.
So hi.
I was on the phone, I was on a call with my marketing team yesterday, and Stella comes in asking questions about her schoolwork and picture that she'd drawn, and they're just cracking up laughing. They're like, yep, this is reality right now. So
Yep.
Steph says this was great. I'm just going to check comments on Facebook as well. There's a little bit of a second delay for them, so
Sure.
just give them a second.
No worries.
Look. Sean says that her insurance company is pretty non-committal so far. We'll have to check again today.
Right. Yep, they may be seeking their own legal advice, and it'll be about looking at the exclusions and seeing what isn't covered. Probably like one of those look at the fine print type issues.
Yeah. So what's next, Davina? I suppose from a legal perspective, if anyone has any questions about this, you can reach out to Davina. I've tagged her in the post on Facebook. So you're at the Mumpreneur Lawyer. Also,
www.mumlawyer, just mumlawyer.com.au.
Made it simpler. Love it. mumlawyer.com.au. And as my message has been pretty strong and pretty consistent over this time, yes, there is a lot of challenges that people are facing, right?
Mm.
But there is also a lot of opportunity there. So try not to get pulled down into everything that's happening in all the news and watching over and over and over and over and over again. You need to spend that space so that you can think very strategically about what your next move is for your business. There is a lot of opportunity. I sat with one of my clients yesterday, and in an hour we remapped out his whole business. So, I mean, and he's just been sending me messages all day going, oh, this is amazing. And, you know, and he owns a gym, and we've completely transformed. Like doom and gloom, like doors closing, that's it. He still has, like, you know, all this stuff. But actually what he wasn't seeing is the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, what
I think now is
need right now.
Yeah, what often happens during, you know, times like this, as if I know what times like this are like, no, but is a lot of innovation actually, because we have no choice but to innovate and work out new ways of doing things, work out better ways that fit the situation we're in. So
absolutely, yeah, innovation, it's about pivoting. Yeah, get creative.
Yeah.
Just because we've always done something a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that we can do it in the future. So the word entrepreneur means someone that can create something from nothing. Well, that's the definition. I don't know what the dictionary says. But so what that means is, like, if I had to start all over again, what would I do?
Yeah.
Right. And so right now businesses are being tested as to how strong they actually are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if your business has been thrown off by this, then it's not as stable as what you thought, and we need to get it stable again. So you've got me, you can reach out to me, we can map out a plan, get a game plan for what your next move is. If you need any legal advice, you've got Davina, right? We're bringing you the team around you, but we've got to move forward. We've got to block out all of the doom and gloom because there is so much available here. But if we get caught up in that, our mindset, our energy, our vibration, everything that goes out is going to be negative. But right now, let's pull it all back in. Look at what you can, not what you can't do. Davina, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Just one more thing, Sophie. We offer a free 20-minute consult. So yeah, hopefully that is useful for many of you.
Yeah, definitely it will be. So you can find Davina, I've tagged her business in it as well. So themumlawyer.com.au, and she's also got a Facebook page, and we've tagged her in the post too. So thank you so much. Anyone has any more questions, drop them below or just reach out directly to Davina. And if you want to get your business mapped out, your new game plan sorted, then come to me, we'll get you sorted. Okay, thanks everyone for a fabulous Wednesday. And good luck to all the mums out there and dads out there and grannies out there who have got kids at home and trying to do business as well. Very soon.
Thank you. Bye.